Okay, so aloha and good morning, everyone. First, I had a brief conversation with Wade yesterday, and I'm gonna give him credit for material while he still has chance because basically it'll just go into my mind, and within a week it'll be my material. But he said something like he was struggling, he was watching everybody struggle to do while he was struggling to not do. And I thought, God, that is so perfect. That's such a great way to say it because it's like, I mean, this is really a struggle, guys. I mean, this goes so counterintuitive to everything you've been taught, everything that, we know of as operating properly on the material plane. When we say that, like, waiting protects everyone, I mean, that's what we mean. It's like then life is moving you instead of you pushing life. And that if we can really start to see is like part of your practice this year is learning to be calm when nothing is happening.
It's a stormy, moody moment here in Havana. It's actually raining just a little bit. There's some thunder looming in the distance and lightning, and it's the perfect mood to do this video because this video is in honor of my teacher, my human design teacher, John Martin, who has been a huge influence in my life. I would not be who I am, living as I am, teaching human design if it were not for him. And I am so sad to say that he passed away recently, just in the last couple weeks. And I just found out a few days ago. And I've been thinking about him and just, grieving, but at the moment just celebrating who he is and also contemplating what he imparted on me. And what I wanted to talk about in today's video is just how important it is to choose who you learn from and who your teachers are, and share a little bit about my experience discovering John as my teacher and how that influences my perception of human design and how I share human design and how I've learned about human design. And my entire human design journey is so much about this one person and how he communicated the information. And I haven't really shared about him before with many people, so this is really lovely to do this, and also to just acknowledge him. One of the reasons why I didn't speak about John that much as my teacher is that I didn't totally recommend him. I mean, he's a really intense character and not for everybody. I don't think even most people that I interact with would be able to digest John. But I was able to digest John, and I feel like I've translated John to people who can receive me. So I hope that this video inspires you to contemplate your own teacher-student relationship and to even use this lens of following your strategy and authority in your process of actually learning about your human design, which is exactly what I've done throughout my process of learning human design. Who is John? John is a projector, a 6'2" profile, and he had channel 1858, the channel of judgment, which is all about seeing the flaws in a system and what's sick, what's not healthy, what's keeping the joyous aliveness from being present. So he really had this beautiful, joyous aliveness about him, and also this ability to, just really pinpoint what's sick, what's not working, to call it out and to judge it. So he was quite acute in his observations, and he could be very pointed, especially as a projector, very penetrating. He had a defined mind, channel 6447, the channel of abstraction, and it was always very funny to hear him describe how this channel played out for him with his madness in his mind and how he was making sense of things, and then finally having these light bulb moments and communicating about it.
You know, And this is where I can inspire people. This is where all the mythological stuff comes in for me, and the hero's journey, and all of these sorts of things are things that I'm inspired by. They inspire me, and then I share the stories again and put my own spin on them, and apparently my mind reorganizes them for its own benefit. But when I'm saying it to you, it's not really a lie. It's just that is really what's coming. It's not like some conscious I've reorganized the story for my benefit. It just doesn't come out logically. It's what to do. So,
as he was always describing his experience of his own design, he really gave me an energetic blueprint of perceiving your own design and seeing the energies play out and witnessing it all. And he had such a humor about it.
The only thing it's about is letting your life have its life, and then you being able to share from a witness or passenger perspective rather than sharing what you think. Okay? And it's a very different frequency. When you're sharing outer authority, it has no agenda. It's not trying to get something. It's not trying to make something happen. Outer authority is this place of, it's not even just be here now, dude. It's just be here. And what do you see? Or while you're here, what have you seen?
A dark humor. Let's put it that way. And he also had channel 5710, the channel of perfected form, which is a part of integration circuitry. Integration circuitry is all about self-empowerment, self-survival. It's strong, and perfected form is having this real beautiful sense of structure and how things really kind of ought to be in the sense of form.
Intuition to behavior, right? For me in particular, how to behave in the now like a heretic. That's my trip. How to behave in the now like a heretic. But it is intuition to the behavior, right? That's all this is. It's like if I'm not in my mind, I will intuitively do what's correct to what? Bring about perfection of this form. This form. The capacity for mutation and behavior rooted in survival, in the now. Intuitive behavior that brings love of self, form or not. I mean, when this one turns on you, dude, I'm telling you, it's like when you don't honor yourself or you get pulled off by somebody else's trip or whatever, and you're not really honoring yourself. Man, do you pay fucking dues?
I think one of the most striking things about John for me has always been his voice and how it sounded to me and how it felt for me in my body to hear him speak. And I, as a person with a lot of individual circuitry, individuals are very acoustically sensitive, and he is also acoustically sensitive, and he taught me that basically to really pay attention to the sound of someone's voice and whether or not it actually resonates for you to hear their voice. And if you do resonate hearing their voice and you have individual circuitry, that tends to be a good sign that they are for you. When I had my reading with John, I was at a point in my business where I was making a lot of money. I was doing a lot of public speaking and workshops, and as a coach, I was delivering Discover Your Genius, Live Your Genius, Leverage Your Genius. I was doing sales from the stage, and I was like this charismatic character. And my friend introduced me to human design, and I just started going down the rabbit hole, reading everything I could, found John's YouTube videos, started binge watching his videos, and then booked a reading with him. My reading with John was life-changing. It was absolutely like a before John's reading and an after John's reading moment in my life. And I think this is one of the things that I really feel about him in particular as a teacher, and what I wish for you in finding the people that resonate for you as a teacher in your human design journey is that he was able to speak the words of my human design in a way that I felt the truth, and it went into me on such a deep level. Even now, I feel my design based on how he said it to me.
And integration is about self-empowerment. It's like, hey, once I'm empowered as myself, yeah, then I may have something for you. But until then, no. We're just lost.
He spoke about my channel 59.6, the channel of mating, and how sexual it is and how it was unconscious.
Now look, on the mundane plane, it's very much about children. But this is a very creative channel too. I mean, we call it the aura buster. It's so intimate, it just breaks down the aura of the other. This kid that emailed me yesterday with no money, it's like, I mean, he emails me and I just like, I just watch my body rattle this email back off and say, send me your phone number. And then I look at his chart and I laugh, 59.6. I was like, God damn it. I have emails from May I haven't answered. And this kid shows up with no money and this great email about how much he sees me. And it's like, and it's true. I can feel it in my body. He is really getting something. And I look and it's a fucking 59.6. Man, they break right into your trip. So just be careful. And it's what they have. It is an aura busting channel. They can move right into your trip.
And he described to me almost like an archetype of who I can be when I'm living my design. And like you're looking at it now. This is actually me. I am now who he described, but I wasn't really that at the time of my reading. I was the potential of that. I was a combination of that plus the not self. And I've really shed so much of the not self in the past 8 years or so since I had that reading with him. And it was an experiential reading because actually hearing his voice and having him do this reading for me, it was so empowering. I actually got really turned on listening to my reading. And I hadn't actually been turned on like that in, I don't know how long, could have been years, because my sexuality was really shut down. I was so much in the personality side of my design, the channel 3420, the channel of charisma, which is all about just being busy. I was so much in that masculine energy of work.
I haven't really told you what a manifesting generator is yet. I don't think. I don't remember what I've said, but I know that I keep it buried under the covers for a long time because of what people will do with this. Guys, in response, yes, you are a creative life force. Yes, you can do things. But first you must be correct in the response. Out of that response, can you do things? Absolutely. Can you create things? Yes. Does it look it looks more like manifestation, the global collective interpretation of manifestation than the manifester. Because why? Because it's busy getting shit done. Doing things. Now, why would I not lead with that? Well, because first of all, most MGs can't even begin to slow down enough to get it. Right?
And when I was speaking with and hearing John, he was so much in his embodiment and in his frequency and in his masculinity. He really turned me on. And that lit this sexual fire in me. And I never went back from that because my reading showed me how much sexuality was a huge part of my design that I had been not living into. And once it awoke, it didn't ever go out. It was like a fire, and that fire just started to burn through all the false things in my life. Everything started to fall away. One of the things about John that was so powerful was he was really diehard. He was super hardcore. He went with things all the way. And because he was embodying the experiment of human design in such a radical way, I felt that he really gave me permission to break free from a lot of very strong constructs that were keeping me in a box at that time in my life. And I began to really go all in with my experiment, and I went pretty hardcore with it as well. And I think that is a direct influence from John and his empowerment frequency being in integration. And I do believe that that is something that resonated with me, just because I also have the full integration circuit, and I am so much about self-empowerment. And if any of you have been following my journey, and I often hear from people like, oh, you're so courageous, I can't believe you sold everything and went to Mexico, and how radical kind of the changes that I've made have been in this journey. But that is an expression of my design. It's my self-empowerment frequency. It's like, come what may. That was one of the things John always said. It's come what may. I'm going to live my truth. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be in my frequency. John was also really able to impart, as a non-sacral being, the value and importance of being in tune with your sacral aliveness and the life force. He really valued that, and he showed me a template of what it could look like for me to actually be a very alive sacral being. And he was always calling you out the moment you were off the mark. So John was a very exceptional teacher. He had a very high standard for himself as a teacher. The way he taught the content was so pure and true to Ra's teaching, and he always emphasized the basics and having a very strong foundation, and he wanted all of us students to really become masters of the basics, which I do feel that I really received from him.
For me, being a guide is the ultimate honor, responsibility. Because we're really on the ground working with people on how to live in the world using these mechanisms, right? That's really it. We really truly are like counselors or guides. It's not about analyzing all of this and looking, many of you will probably go on with your education because it's correct for you. For me, I've gone the whole gauntlet of human design, and this is the only part that I really have juice for. So here I am,
So I did the Living Your Design Guide course with him, and he had amazing slides that he had prepared visually. So if you've watched any of the videos in that older playlist I have, it's called Human Design Tutorials. I used his slides because I ended up purchasing them from him and getting his blessing to use them in my own teaching. And they definitely have his aesthetic, his vibration in them 100%. Like warrior, dark, intense, moody. So I absolutely loved learning from John. It was such a pleasure to be in his course. At the time, I became obsessed with human design. I stopped working for 3 months and just did a sabbatical and just studied human design every single day. And I did readings for every person that I met. I looked at hundreds of charts. I began to really see the different energies and learn how it felt to talk with a generator and a projector and a manifester, and to see how they interacted, and just to witness the different designs of the people in my network. Towards the end of my participation in the course, I ended up getting kicked out of the course. I still, to this day, don't fully understand why. I think I was really rambunctious. I was kind of disruptive. He and I had a bit of a dynamic going on. I was so crushed by that. It was absolutely devastating at the time. I think it wasn't a frequency match ultimately, but it does mean that I never finished the course. And what I've noticed about that is that logically, I love human design so much, it would have made sense that I would have continued studying elsewhere. But I never resonated with another teacher. I just didn't find anyone that I ever actually had a yes to, like a sacral or a feeling that I actually wanted to learn more from. And so really I have that foundation that he gave me, that he really imparted on me. And I've, studied the books and I've read what I've read, but other than that, I've never gone further with my education. So what I share with you is really so much because of John. Because he was a really good teacher of the foundations, and he gave it to me in a way that I just ingested it and I got it, and it was really profound. And so he's the one to thank. If you've learned something from me, it's because of him.
Finally, there are a few teachers in human design that aren't trying to change me. Yeah. And it's fun for me to talk to them. And even in this, even people that have been in this a lot longer than me, there's this, somehow that they're all trying to fix me. And I'm like, dude, I am unteachable. I'm clear on that, and you either dig me or you don't. And and each of you will get to your own truth with that, how that works for you.
Again, whatever your strategy is and your authority, like for me, it's wait to respond. And then my emotional authority, it's like I'm waiting till I feel like learning more. I mean, I've learned here and there, little bits here and there, in addition to the education he gave me. But it's when I hear most of the people in the human design world, it's kind of like, there's the earlier generation who are super harsh and more like Ra. Ra was quite a harsh, hardcore dude. And then there's the later generation who are more soft and, like, to me, almost taking it to a level that doesn't have the same degree of commitment in it. It's more like pleasure-based, like human design is going to give you all the things that you want in life, when it's, John would have absolutely hated that because for, him, it's just really about awareness. It's an awareness tool, and it's a shedding of who you think you are, and just becoming of what you actually are. And oftentimes what you think you are and what you think you want is actually something that would really need to be let go of in the process of becoming the true expression of your design. So it's funny because I've been in the human design experiment for 8-9 years. I feel like I'm at the bridge of those two generations of human design educators, and I'm kind of neither here nor there, but I definitely, I just resonated with him as a teacher, and I'm so grateful. So dear John, I consider him to be a soulmate. He was a 6'2". I met him in person in Sedona, and he really helped me a lot. He really put all of his power into me to believe in who I am, and to also have the courage to let go of who I'm not, and who I thought I was. And I would not be who I am today without him. So thank you, John. Many blessings. Bye.
So, away we go, diving into deeper water, jumping from the cliff, facing the abyss. How many different ways can I say it?